Welcome to another Demarcation Media Mega Construx review. This is probably not going to help the rumor that I live in the Mega Factory rafters. I promise I don't. I actually don't. But today's video, we are going to be looking at Halo Universe Series 3 blind bags. Yes, I know these were just announced and they were leaked only a short while ago, but we're going to be taking a look at them today. Thanks to Inko Dunked over on Reddit. He was nice enough to, not only was he nice enough to go back to the store where he found them at, which was a Kroger, and get me the last packs that were there left in the box, but he was also nice enough to lend me his 4 figures that make up the other half of this series that I would not have. So huge thank you to him, because without his help, today's video would not be happening. And we do have 4 of these packs sealed, so we're going to go ahead and open those up. And yeah, honestly, I'm really excited for this. This is, yeah. So, I mean, I thought that Universe Series 2 was peak blind bags, and I know some of you are like, whoa, but it had the Promethean, we don't really like Prometheans, and the Grunt was the ultra rare, but like as a content wise, as a whole, this was like the best blind bag series ever. And then Mega just went and did this. Okay, we just got to get these open. We just need to get these open. I can't wait any longer. I've been waiting like 2 days. This package came like 2 days ago, and I have been incredibly impatient to get to it. So without any further ado, let's get these guys open. So I'm just going to set our opened figures over here, the ones that still belong to Inko Dunked. So first of all, packaging wise, looks really nice. I do like the way that their blind bags look now. It's a little difficult to differentiate between the series. I mean, that looks at first glance generally similar. The background here is lighter and the gold is matte, whereas this one has a darker blue background, and we've got the gold here. It says 3, and we get more figures on the front, obviously. Around the back, pretty normal. If you want to find the codes, they will typically be around here. So sometimes they'll be under the tab, but right here it looks like it is in dark blue. So if you need the codes, I will put those in the description. Let's get this open. It's good to have these in hand. And I know a lot of people are going to be probably chafing seeing this video and like, oh, why isn't it near me? Just be patient. These are not technically supposed to be released yet. Or they kind of are. Whoa, that is a very, very funky neck joint. He has a bunch of excess plastic on there. I might have to trim that off before we take a closer look at him. But we have the CE Marine as our first pull here. It's all twisted up in the package. And yes, he comes built. He's got a stand. Very nice. And yeah, I'll have to do something about that neck joint. That is quite interesting. And now we get to see the list here. Come on. Come on. Okay, so you get to see how to build a lot of the figures. There's a lot of interesting, slightly more specialized parts here. And then we have the rarity chart, which I have to say I don't love the way that they have like the commons wrapping underneath the rares. Typically the rares are down here. I don't know. That's just a little bit confusing to me. And I do wish that they still showed how many per case there were instead of saying how many pieces that each one has. But that is also helpful too. But yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commons, 2 rares, and 1 ultra rare. Very nice. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Moving on to the next one. Who do we have? Oh, yes. It has been quite a while since we got a Helljumper. Looks like he does suffer quite heavily from that variation in the green, unfortunately. That's part of the reason why I don't like this metallic green. but the purple visor, and it's a Helljumper, so I don't know. We'll talk more about that later. I need to not get ahead of myself. Here. It's nice to see 8 figures in a series again, though. I will say that. Hey, Billy the Grunt. Billy the Grunt is here. This guy is nice because it's the return of the like Halo 2 Grunt mask instead of the CE Grunt mask. What? There we go. The chest harness always seems to be coming apart in the package. Very nice. And the last one. Oh boy. I think you guys know what this is. As I mean, like, we have one figure missing here. So this one, before I dump this out, this one I am both really excited for and also a little bit worried. And I'll talk about why in a second, but I want to see this guy. I want to see him. Let's see. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So, that is all of the figures open. Oh, wow. He comes with a white stand. Interesting. All right. We are going to get in closer now and take a close look at these guys, see all the details. And, yeah, I'm excited for this. So we're just going to work our way through according to rarity, starting off with the CE Marine. And this guy, there's really nothing new here. And that might seem like a bad thing at first, but it's actually not, because the CE Marines quickly got very rare and very expensive. A lot of people really like them. A lot of people still really want to get them. And as of right now, they're like $15 a figure, depending on where you get them. Maybe you can get lucky and get them for like $8, but it makes army building the CE Marines very difficult ever since Clash on the Ring stopped being widely available. He comes armed with a gray AR, and he's currently trying to throw it. That's the same as the Clash on the Ring ones. Green undersuit. The chest plate, I feel like they probably could use a new chest plate. That is like the Halo Wars Marines, Halo 2 Anniversary Marines, I guess. Or Halo 2 Anniversary? Or was it Halo 3? Anyway, it's an old one that we've had before, and I feel like we could probably use a new one. However, asking for that in this series when we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new molds, I feel like that would be a little bit of a big ask to ask for more pieces. So I'm cool with this. I'm fine with getting this guy. I do have a little baggie of CE Marines from Clash on the Ring, and I just wanted to bring one in just so that you could kind of see the difference, and there's really not any difference. They're pretty much exactly the same. I think they even have the same head mold. So that's kind of nice, because even though it is the same figure, you can easily army build, and I think that's a plus. The helmet is removable. There we go. Helmet is removable. This guy's neck joint, as you saw, was a little bit weird. I trimmed that excess bit off, but his head is a little softly put on there. But he looks pretty good, and it's nice to see that the CE Marines are making a return. Next up, we have the Helljumper Spartan. Now, I think, generally speaking, this is probably everybody's least favorite. I really like the inclusion. I'm not totally sold on the color, just because it's the green, and there is a pretty big variation. I mean, you can see on the arms between the upper arm and the lower arm, or like the head and the chest plate. Maybe it's a little hard to see on camera, but I feel like it shows up enough, and it's a little bit more in person. The chest is more of almost a coppery green, while the head and the arms, the parts that are softer plastic, are more of a green, I guess. So that's a little bit of a downside, but the Helljumper armor has not been seen in a while. We've only gotten, like, I think one red one, a dark gray one with a red visor, and then the various bucks. So getting a new one is really nice, and I hope to see more soon. Also, I love that choice of visor. That is so good. Look at that. Purple is a great visor choice. Mega seems to be choosing it more often lately, and I really like it. Interestingly enough, so here is a Spartan Buck. The head almost feels a little bit bigger. I don't know if it's just the way they printed the visor or if the head is actually genuinely bigger. I'm not sure. It seems like a slightly updated mold, but it's pretty neat to see these guys side by side. Also, the groin armor used here is the one that would be used on a Stinger instead of the more standard one that the original figures had. You can see it's like a little bit smaller around the back too. And the previous one that Buck had was more like kind of a diaper-ish one. So that's an interesting choice, interesting change that they did. And this guy comes armed with a light gray Hydra, which is fantastic. I love this piece. It's so nice and easy to pose your figures with, and it's really good. We don't often get it anymore. The figure does have his knife printed up, which is also really, really nice. And that head is just really, really, yeah, it's just really good. I love that purple visor. The only real thing that I don't like about this figure is the variation in the green. Aside from that, this is fantastic. I absolutely love it. And yes, I know it's a Halo 4 and 5 era Spartan, but I think he's cool anyway. The variation in the green is really just the main downside. And would you look at that? Up next, still in the Commons lineup, we have the first ever super articulated CQB Spartan. So this guy, well, not this specific one, but the CQB armor was in the first fan vote, the one where we voted for the Spartan Haunted, and there was an opportunity to vote for a CQB. I was Team CQB all the way. I really wanted the CQB to become a reality. Unfortunately, it didn't at the time, and apparently Mega had been working on it enough so that they could release it only a couple years later, which I kind of suspected they would because it's too much of a integral armor set to ignore. So it's really interesting to see it here. First of all, he comes with a printed blazer. It is kind of a gray-green. It's just got a single stripe printed on it, but that's not often that we see a printed weapon on a blind bag figure. And then the figure himself, he has not one, not two, but 4 new molds. There's the head, there is the chest plate front, the chest plate back is the same as we've seen before, and then the shoulders. Now, typically the shoulders would be just like one new mold, but they are side, how do you want to say it, like side oriented, so the little pieces here, there's like almost like a little arrow on the shoulder that is oriented towards the front, and he has it pointed towards the front on both sides, which means he needs a specific left and right shoulder. So that's interesting. The chest is new. You can see there's a bunch of new detail on there. There's a knife, unpainted knife, but there's a knife on there. The legs, I'm not sure why they chose to use the Halo Wars Spartan legs instead of the like Halo Infinite Master Chief legs, which would be more appropriate. But then again, these are the legs that they insist on using for that era of Chief, so I guess it makes sense that they would use it on the other Spartans of that era. Don't understand why they're not using the correct legs, because they have the correct legs. Now, the real thing here, the thing that makes this a CQB, obviously, is the head. And I don't know how I feel about this head, to be completely honest. So, wow, it's kind of loose. First of all, the visor is a little wide, which now that I'm seeing it in person, it looks worse, I would say, on the package. Like, it looks really wide on the package compared to like what it actually is. So I think that's fine. The shaping is pretty good too. The thing that I'm not sold on is how far forward it sticks. I mean, look at that. That's what it looks like. I thought CQB was more rounded, should be more like this. And even if it's not, I feel like they should have made this not jut so far forward. You can kind of see where the placement of the peg hole is, because especially paired with this really bulky chest plate, when you put it on, whoa, buddy. When you put it on, he can't really pose all that well. He kind of ends up with this, a little bit of this hunch, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like, that's as far down as his head can go. Come on now. stand up. Yeah, so if he's standing totally straight, that's what he looks like. He's essentially kind of looking upward. That bothers me a bit, not gonna lie. I feel like they should have made the chest plate, the CQB chest plate, work a little bit better with the CQB head. I don't really know about that. I don't hate it, but at the same time, I wish it was a little bit better, because like you can't pose down. Side to side is limited because you end up looking up. Like that's kind of to the side. That's also kind of to the side. So it's not horrible, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's as good as it could be. Upward movement, you can get him to look up. Like he can look up just fine, but it's looking straight or looking down. I mean, he kind of has to be like this to look straight. So yeah, that kind of bothers me. I was hoping for something a little bit better. And also, when you put this head on the other Spartan bodies, which I have tried a couple, it just juts really far forward. I'm not sure what the thought process behind that was, but it really should not stick so far forward. So that's my big complaint with this guy. I was hoping that they would do that. And Mega, if you're watching this video, maybe do what you did for Chief and update it a little bit, because there are two versions of the Chief head. One that sits really low on the neck and doesn't have much articulation, and then there's another one that sits higher and it's slightly like back, I think, so that he has more articulation. And I would love to see them do this for the next iteration of whichever CQB comes next, giving us something that works better with the specific armor, because like this is the CQB's chest plate. It should work with the CQB helmet, but right now it only kind of works, and it could have been done better. So yeah, I really, really want to really like this guy, because I've been looking forward to CQB a lot, but the helmet is just not quite there for me. And I could be wrong. This could be unfair criticism, but I think that he should be able to look straight without having to bend his body. I mean, that's him standing straight, and he's kind of looking upward. The new chest plate looks great, even though it doesn't like fit well with the helmet, and the new shoulders are fantastic as well, and it's great to see another Spartan using the black color scheme. Next on the commons list still, we have a Halo 2 Anniversary Elite Miner. So this guy uses pretty much all the parts of Urtas, the shipmaster, except Mega made the helmet with both jaws. So this is a new helmet piece. And also, Urtas's helmet is a little bit of a softer plastic. At least some of the earlier runs were, I guess. This one is a hard plastic, and it also comes very printed with black, and it looks really sharp. I love the blue. The blue is like that of the Blind Bag Mark 7. There's a forearm piece that I believe is new. I'm not totally sure. I could be wrong, but it looks like a new forearm. And then interestingly, on this side, he is using a Spartan forearm. Not totally sure the reason behind that. It might be accurate to the games. I'm not sure. Underneath is just a normal Elite head. Also, he's got black for the joints here, which is kind of cool. And then the chest plate. Look at the chest plate. There is so much print on that. That is essentially Halo Heroes level print. I mean, heck, if you gave this guy a printed weapon, I might believe you if you told me that he is a Halo Heroes figure. And then this figure is also really exciting because he is the first to have the new plasma rifle. We have had this big chunky block of a plasma rifle for years. Look at that. It's so much smaller. It is still a rubbery plastic, but it's not nearly as rubbery. So like with this one, you can kind of take it and squeeze it. This one is soft and you can squeeze it a little bit, but it's probably, I would say, at least 2 times harder. And it's smaller. So you can actually pose the Elite using the plasma rifle without this big upper section banging into his elbow. And he can even bend the elbow while using it. This is perfect. I love this. I think Mega should have done this a long time ago, but also it's here now, and I think it's great. And I will actually be excited to get plasma rifles now, since it's not this big chunky mush of a thing. That looks fantastic. I absolutely love that. This figure is an A+ all the way, like, for sure. The only thing that really is, I would say, a downside is the shoulders aren't totally accurate. But then again, like I said with the CE Marine, there's so many new molds in this set, or in this series, that asking for even more, I feel like, is a bit unfair. Because, I mean, he's got the plasma rifle and the helmet here. Those are both brand new. Also, the Elite hands, these ones can be a little bit fragile sometimes. So getting this in a softer plastic, but that one that isn't super rubbery, but soft enough not to strain the hands too much, is a plus, in my opinion. So yeah, this is definitely one that people are going to want to army build. This one in particular has a little bit of some loose joints, but quality control wise, aside from that, he looks great. And the prints, just so sharp, razor sharp. Coming to the last of the commons. Holy crap, Mega has been busting expectations in terms of content and also availability, but we're not talking about that right now. They went all out on the Flood lately. So we got the Elite Flood forms, right? We saw those first. We knew they were coming. Everybody was excited. Some people didn't like the way the heads were, and then they came out. And then the human form came out, and everybody was excited about that. People are still trying to hunt those down. And then Mega goes and makes the Brute Flood form, and I did not expect to see this for another 2 years at the very least. And Mega was just like, nah, we're just going to do it now. And on top of that, I don't know if they had already been planning to do this, or if they listened to us, those of us saying, you know, the heads look odd, but the head is molded in here as a separate thing. You can see the jaw is all distended, and he's trying to fall over. Yeah, wow. So that's an entirely new torso piece right there. And then the little Flood antennas fit in there. And then there's the new Flood arm. It's been used on all the Flood combat forms so far. The lower legs here are kind of the same bronze Floody color. He has a spiker, which has been a while since we've seen one of those in a set. Nice to get one again. It's in a bright silver. The lower arm is also in that same Flood color. And then he's got a little bit of silver armor left right on the groin plate, but the rest of his armor looks like it has fallen off. Yeah, I don't really know how to critique this. I mean, this is pretty much perfect. I don't think that there's anything here that Mega did wrong, and the fact that it's a common as well is really fantastic. The molding is great, as it's been like kind of usual with the Flood forms. Yeah, I'm still blown away that this is actually in a series now and not 2 years from now. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Super well done. Absolutely fantastic. I could keep going because, again, Mega completely blew my expectations out of the water. I would venture to guess that some of you guys also have had your expectations blown out of the water by how quickly they've brought this into reality. Now we have moved on to the rares. So I don't exactly know what common, rare, and ultra rare mean anymore because we don't have the counts per box. There are 32 packs per box, and there are 8 figures in a series. So theoretically, there could be, 4 full series, 5 full series? But that's not the case because there's more of some figures and less of others. So I don't know yet what common or rare means. But this is a Halo 2 Brute. Halo 2? I believe this is a Halo 2 Brute. Yeah. And we've gotten, this is the second variation we've gotten. The first one came in Halo Universe Series 1. He had brown fur and like silver armor. This guy has gray fur and this purple armor that matches the purple that we've been getting lately. It's the same purple as what you see on the buildable Needler, and it's very vibrant. The metallic was cool, and I kind of miss the metallic, but at the same time, there's something about this that just looks really good, paired with the gray as well. He's got that collar piece. His head looks really nice, actually. There's kind of a lot of personality in that face. I think that's really nice. He's got that harness, and this guy will match with Tartarus really well because he's got the gray fur. See, he's got purple print on the legs, which is really nice. The little skull cap is a print, which is crazy because it's razor sharp. And then he comes armed with a silver brute shot. We really have not had a shortage of brute shots, but it is nice to get some more, and it's a very fitting weapon because, I mean, he's a brute. And yeah, again, rare could mean 2 per box, rare could mean 3, 4, 5 per box. I don't really know, but this is definitely one you would want to have a couple of, maybe 4 to give yourself a little squad. I think it's a nice figure. Stands out really well too among the ranks of brutes. The next rare is a Billy the Grunt. He's got a Needler, and he's using the little Halo 2 and 3 half mask instead of the one that we've been getting in like the Infinite line that has the bar going up over the top, like the CE guys. He's still got the same harness though. He doesn't have the like Halo 2 harness, the one that is more narrow. And then he's just in an orange, and we've seen the orange quite a bit, and then he's got the darker skin tone. But if it wasn't orange, it wouldn't be Billy the Grunt. So getting him in orange is nice. And yeah, I mean, it's just a grunt. Pretty nice. I know that probably some of you guys are wanting the grunt to be in the commons. I maybe would have moved the Helljumper to the rares and put this guy in the commons, but as it is, I don't really think it's a problem because the amount of figures that you're going to want to army build probably are going to be primarily this guy and this guy, and they're both commons, so I don't really think we have much space to complain about the placement of the grunt because he is just a grunt. Well, he's Billy the Grunt, but also he is just a grunt. And our last figure and the ultra rare of the series is the active camo Jigga from Halo Infinite, and I would say that this is a pretty perfect choice for a ultra rare because it's not a figure that it's not like the definitive version of that figure. It's really bad when the ultra rares are the definitive one version of the figure that you're going to want. This is not the definitive Jega because he is obviously not visible, but having him as an active camo figure makes a ton of sense because he spent a ton of Halo Infinite skulking around in active camo. So this is pretty cool. We get a clear energy sword, we get his arm piece in clear now, which is fantastic, his legs in clear, and his head and chest plate is all brand new to the clear color, which is fantastic. Again, I don't really know what the ultra rare means. Is there 1 per case, 2, 3, 4? I don't really know. But I would say this is a great choice because this is one that if you don't want it, you can skip it, and it's not an army builder. And the other figures, like the army builders, are probably going to be a little bit more desirable, but at the same time, this is a great figure to get. And like I said, it makes a ton of sense because Jega spends a lot of time in active camo. Even in the boss fight, he does. So this is pretty cool. Yeah, great to have alongside the actual Jega if you got the Banished Phantom set. Well, there you have it. That is Halo Universe Blind Bags Series 3. So this might just be Mega's best blind bag series of all time. It's just got such a good variation of characters, good variation of existing parts and new parts, and it was a great way for them to introduce the brute flood form. I'm still not sold on the CQB. I feel a little disappointed with the CQB and the way that they handled the helmet. I'm just not sure that was the best way to do it. I think that the helmet probably needs to be sized down a little bit. Like you can see the Helljumper's head compared to the CQB's is a bit big. So I think that needs to be scaled down a little bit. And Mega, please, if you're listening, do that. Make a slight variation to the mold or something because this is such a good Spartan. The head is just not quite there. I still like the figure, but I'm a little disappointed that it's not totally compatible with its own armor pieces. And I did try switching it to other Spartans. I tried switching it to the Halo 2 and 3 Chief, and it still has the same issue where it's bumping up into the chest plate. So that helmet really just isn't that compatible with any chest plate, and that's a shame. And I think that is an oversight on Mega's part, and I think that should be fixed. But aside from that, the rest of this is really good. Quality control looks pretty solid for the most part. The CQB's head got really loose after popping it on and off once or twice, which is a little odd. And then the Marine obviously had a bit of that oddness on his neck. And there's some loose joints on like the Elite. and the variation in color. If you want to call that a quality control problem, it's really not, because that's just how they've been making their greens for a while. But solid batch here for sure. Obviously, there could be issues that I didn't get, and some figures like the CE Marine, I don't expect that's a widespread issue. So yeah, I feel like there's something for everyone here. Those of us that are in or were in the CQB gang, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag for us, because the CQB is great, but I don't know, the helmet just needs to be smaller, I think. But yeah, so CQB is probably my favorite. I've been waiting for the CQB for so long that he's still kind of my favorite, even though he's not done quite right. He's the one that stands out to me the most. That Elite is probably a close second. He just looks really good. The Brute Flood form obviously is pretty high up there. The Grunt is just nice to get. The Brute is a really nice addition. CE Marine, great to have him back. Helljumper, despite him being the least popular of the lineup, I think it's still good that he's there. And then Active Camo Jega is a perfect choice for the ultra rare. So I would say that this is like a 9.8 out of 10 series, and I only take off the little 0.2 because the CQB's head was not handled as well as it could have been. So hopefully these will be more readily available than they are right now. Some Krogers will have them. Unfortunately, only certain Krogers will carry them, because not every Kroger has a toy aisle. So you have to find what's called a Kroger marketplace, and there's actually no way to differentiate what a marketplace is from a normal Kroger, because there's no signage or anything like that. You just have to basically go in and look for a toy aisle. If you see a toy aisle, they might be there. If you don't see a toy aisle, then they won't carry Mega really at all. Aside from that, don't really know where or when these are going to pop up. Again, with Mega, we just kind of have to keep our fingers crossed that they pop up somewhere. But yeah, hopefully Mega will make this, or Mega will do what they can to make this available to us. I don't want to say that hopefully they'll make it available to us, because they might not have control over it. If stores just don't want to buy it, stores don't want to buy it. Ideally, they would sell these on Mattel Creations. It's not the most ideal solution, because it's so much more fun to be able to go into the stores and get the blind bags there. But if that's not going to be an option at all, if stores just aren't going to buy it, then I would much prefer that we can actually get them online. So yeah, good series. Wish the CQB was better. The rest of the lineup is fantastic. And Mega, if anybody from Mega sees this, please do something about the fact that that helmet is not compatible with the chest plates, and then do something to make this available for us if that's possible. You know, having batches of them on Mattel Creations would be fantastic. But yeah, highly recommend you keep your eyes peeled for these. And I know a lot of you UK collectors, especially Australian collectors, are probably like dying inside a little bit, knowing that these are probably never going to show up there. But I don't know. We'll see how these pop up. And if those of you who have access to a lot of them, like if you go into a Kroger and see a whole case, grab the whole case and see what you can do to pass the extras on to the community, because that's the only way we're going to beat the scalpers, right? We need to come together as a community and do what the scalpers are doing essentially, which is buying up all the stock, but we need to buy up all the stock with the intention of passing it on at a normal retail price to our fellow collectors, because I'm sure that, you know, if you were the one getting the case, it would be tempting to be like $5 a figure or whatever, because then you'd make some money. But I think if you were the one buying, you would much prefer your fellow collectors to be just trying to help you out instead of trying to profit off of you. So that's how we beat the scalpers. If you have access to these, buy them all and see who you can pass them on to, because right now that is our only recourse to stopping the drought of Mega. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.